The topic is describing a distribution. So let's do this example. This histogram displays the sugar content as a percentage of weight of 49 brands of breakfast cereals. And the question is describe the distribution. The first thing you need to look at, if you look at the bottom, so the bottom always tell you what variable you have. See, if you look at the axis, this axis, the variable is actually the sugar content in the cereal. And of course, if you look on the y-axis, that's the number of cereals. For example, between the cereal, there are 6. Look here, there are 6 cereals that have sugar content between 0 and 4%. Yeah, also think about they took all these boxes of cereals and then they just check them out randomly, and then they just report, for example, for each one cereal, they see how much sugar it's in there and so on and so forth. So the question is, describe the distribution. So when we describe the distribution, we need to start, here's the definition. We need to first talk about shape, right here. Shape means, first, one of the things that we need to talk about the shape is a unimodal, bimodal, or multimodal, or uniform. So unimodal is the one that has one hump. Bimodal are the ones that have 2 humps or 2 modes. And multimodal that has 3 humps or more. And uniform that have no humps. So if you look at the histogram, you can tell these 2 humps. Here's one hump, and here's the second one, or 2 modes. Right? So we can say it's bimodal, by definition of bimodal. So we always start with the distribution of our variable. So this is the distribution of the variable. We said it's sugar content of breakfast cereals. So sugar content of breakfast cereals is bimodal. Now to talk about skewness now, next thing we need to talk about skewness. Is it skewed to the right, to the left? But when it's bimodal, we're interested more on each group or each cluster. So this is cluster 1 or group 1, group of cereals, right? Or cluster 1. And the second group, or cluster 2. So we're interested in each one. Are they skewed, symmetric, whatever? So if you look at cluster 1, you can tell it's a bit, not really skewed, but it's a bit skewed to the right. Right? So let's write that one down. Cluster 1 is skewed, or a bit skewed to the right. Now cluster 2 is a bit symmetric. It's not all the way symmetric, but so cluster 2 is a bit symmetric. Next we talk about the center right here. So the center, again, we need to talk about center of each hump or each group, each cluster. So the center, if you can tell, the center of the first cluster will be, or the median, because it's skewed. When it's skewed, you always look for median. So median will be around 8. So the median of cluster 1 is about 8%, while, this is symmetric. When it's symmetric, remember you need to talk about mean, but the mean is almost as close as the mean, and when it's symmetric, the mean and the median are very close to each other. So while, say the mean or the median, doesn't matter, but let's say the mean of cluster 2 is about, I would say 46%. And last, we need to talk about 3, which is the range. And the range, we can talk about IQR, or where most of the cereals fall in. So let's just talk about the IQR, the middle 50%. So we know the middle 50%, if you just look at the graph, you all you need to do is just estimate, doesn't have to be perfect, are between kind of like the 4% and 14%. So for cluster 1, %50 of cereals have between 4% and 14% sugar, or 12% kind of. Actually, I would say 12%, but anyway, it doesn't matter. 14 still low sugar. While for cluster 2, %50 will be, if you want to use 50%, it'll be somewhere in here between 40 and 52. 50%, so we can compare. 50% of cereals have between 40 and 52%. 40% and 52% of sugar content. Now the question is, what do you think might account for this shape? I mean, you can think of anything. All we know, there's a group of cereals. If you go to the supermarket and you see like a group of cereals that have low sugar and a big one that have a lot of sugar in it. I mean, there's only one assumption, is those cereals that have low sugar are for adults, and the cereals that have a lot of sugars are for kids. So cereals, there are 2 types. Of cereals. The ones with low sugar content are for children, while the ones with a higher content of sugar for adults. I mean, children don't like, they like, it would not taste good for children. For kids, they have to have some sugar in. But you can always assume anything else. But this is the most obvious one. Alright, that's good for this example.